And we're
We are
live. Bang on time as per usual. It is 4:30 on a Friday and it is the NFL Corner. I would like to welcome, as always, my guest for the consecutive weeks because the hiatus is over. It's Will Pete. Hello, Will.
Hi. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. Getting ready for the new season. It's only a week away, really. Less now.
Yeah.
And obviously they launched the Sky Channel here in the UK. What are your thoughts with a week out from the season? You know, how you feeling? You excited? You nervous? Because you know your Dallas Cowboys have dropped the ball a few times. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we have definitely. I mean, we won last year in week 1, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to get going now. I mean, obviously we've got the Chiefs Texans Thursday night first game next week, and then the Sunday games start again every single Sunday until February. So yeah, I'm buzzing. I cannot wait. I've waited so long for this, so long.
Yeah, it's been far too long, and with this weird off season, this weird preseason, I'm just ready for some normality in the American football world, and hopefully we can do that today. Usually, we don't really have news. We've not had news for a while now. We've got some.
Plenty of it as well.
Plenty of it, because a lot of roster cuts are happening because they have to get down to that final 53. Obviously, there's an expanded practice squad this year, but it's the 53-man roster that's going to do the job. And we'll start with my beloved Minnesota Vikings, because I like to believe we made waves last week when we seem to be a win now maybe mode, as we traded a second round and a conditional 5th round for Rowan's Jacksonville Jaguars, Yannick Ngakoue. What was your thoughts? Because my thoughts, obviously, I was very happy. But what are your thoughts?
I think it's a really good trade for both sides. I mean, Yannick, he'd made it clear he wanted out of Jacksonville sooner than later. And to be honest, I didn't think it'd drag on this late. I thought it'd be done, a lot earlier, maybe even the first couple of weeks of free agency back in March. But it's dragged on and on. But fair play to the Vikings, they made the move. I mean, we all know the Vikings like stock picks. They've stocked up picks in last year's draft, trading back all the time. So they've definitely not got shortage of picks. So why not use some of those picks to acquire a player like Yannick Ngakoue? A position of need. Obviously, you lost Everson Griffin to the Dallas Cowboys. So you needed someone opposite Danielle Hunter to, So because with Danielle Hunter being the only recognised pass rusher on your team, teams could slide protection over. But now you've got Yannick, they've got to account for both of them, and it'll only help in the defense. So I think it's a really positive trade for you lot. I mean, the fact they even reduced the salary cap down to $12 million was even better. Free of some cap room as well. So he was really wanting out of Jacksonville. But yeah, Jacksonville got the picks they wanted. Minnesota got the defensive end they wanted. On a prove it deal, really, because Yannick's he's playing for next season to get a big contract from maybe the Vikings, maybe somebody else. So he's going to be motivated. He's going to be ready to go. And I think it's a really, really positive trade for you.
The thing is, he can be tagged next year as well. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe, keep him for another year after that, because obviously we know Anthony Harris's contract is coming up, Dalvin Cook's contract's coming up. Involved in all that was a contract renegotiation, should we say, with Riley Reef, which it looked like he was going to be cut because he said goodbye to everyone. He said he doesn't believe he's going to be here any longer. But he wanted to keep working under Gary Kubiak, so he reported back to training camp, and we now have both of them. And as you said, we lost Everson Griffin to you, so we didn't have that other pass rusher. I've spoke very highly of Ifeadi Odenigbo. I think he's very good, but he very may well slide into that DT position and kind of not pass rush from there, but maybe be a 3 technique tackle in that defensive line.
It gives you the flexibility, because I know you can move the players all up and down the line. People like Hunter and Ngakoue, they can be slid up and down at defensive linemen. Obviously, like you said, they can play as a pass rush in 3 technique. Maybe not a 1 technique, that's more of the run stuff in position, but they can move into that 3 technique position and go up against the guards, or they can be that edge rusher. Yannick can even be a stand-up pass rusher if he wants to be in that linebacker position. So he's very, very flexible, very versatile. And it just gives you more options on the defensive line and keeps the offense guessing, really.
Yeah, I think Michael Pierce was going to be that run stopper originally, but sadly he had to opt out due to his asthma. Fair credit to him. But we'll stay with Jacksonville for some more news. They have cut safety Ronnie Harrison. They seem to be, and Leonard Fournette. I don't even know why I went with Ronnie Harrison first when I just should have gone with Leonard Fournette. But 2 players, Leonard Fournette especially, they used a 4th overall pick on him. We looked at the running backs they could have taken. Leonard Fournette is not a bad running back. He's very much a one-style running back. However, he is special. So what was your thoughts? Because we've all kind of said now this is clearly tanking. But
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing with Jacksonville. Fans will be wanting to compete this season, but it's always hard going into a season when you know deep down the team's wanting to tank, but the manager, the coach can't come out and say, yeah, we're tanking for picks this season. He's going to come out and say, we want to win, we want to do the best we can, but deep down, they're not looking to win this season. I think I was very surprised they weren't able to get some sort of pick for Fournette. It's clear teams knew they were going to get rid of him anyway, so they thought, what's the point in trading for him when we can get him on the open market for free? He got released. And I know Rome was a bit, iffy on it, didn't know if it was the right decision or not for his Jags. But yeah, I mean, they weren't going to extend him anyway next off season, so they've kind of, they were going to prolong the inevitable anyway by keeping him. And he could have contributed to a couple more wins that they probably don't really want. They want to, they are looking for that first overall pick. It's no lie, we all know that. But anyway, he got signed by the Buccaneers, which I think for the Buccaneers on the other hand, who are a contending team, it's a fantastic pickup for them. He gets to work with Tom Brady in that offense with Godwin and Mike Evans. Just another piece of the puzzle, really. But yeah, the Ronnie Harrison, I think he was actually traded to the Browns for like a 5th round pick or something. So basically nothing. Which I was a bit surprised about because I don't think he's a bad safety. He's still pretty young. Still got about 2 years left on his contract. So I was surprised about that. But it really is. The Jags really are now going all out for that tank.
Yeah, he was traded. My apologies. I said he was cut, but no, he was traded. So we'll leave the state of Jacksonville, but we will keep on running backs from Leonard Fournette to Adrian Peterson, who today, long time NFL. I'm going to admit he's going to probably be a Hall of Famer in the future.
Former Minnesota Viking.
I know. I think he won MVP with Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. He won league MVP.
Yeah, he did.
So his best years are behind him. We'll understand that. However, he's been cut by Washington. Who slots in as that number one? Because they never really had a number one anyway. But with Adrian Peterson now gone, who might have been that guy, they clearly want to emphasize youth maybe in the Washington football team. Sorry. And what are their ceiling for this season?
Yeah, it was a shocking move, I thought, because since they signed Adrian Peterson, many teams are thinking, he's washed, he's not the same guy, but he actually did very well in Washington. 1,000-yard season a couple of years ago. I think he did pretty well last year as well. But they also released Darius Guice, who got into that altercation with the domestic violence and all that. So they got rid of him. I think they're looking to start the rookie they got in the 4th round, Antonio Gibson, kind of more of that receiving back. He can run, but he can also receive. I saw someone on NFL Network, I think it was James Jones, someone like that, comparing him to a similar style to Christian McCaffrey. Now, if he's half a Christian McCaffrey, well, you've got a right player there. But I think Washington believe in Antonio Gibson, the rookie they got in the 4th round, to be their new starting running back. They've got someone else on the roster that I can't quite remember his name. But yeah, I think they're looking to more youth, looking just more. I think with the way the running backs are nowadays, you need them to be able to receive out the backfield. The power back running back is kind of dying out, I think, in the NFL. Kieran's put in the chat, he said that the Jags are going 0-16.
Oh, well, they were close. They were very bloody well. On my prediction, they were close. We'll get to your prediction in the future, but very smart from an observation from KD there.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have to see how they do. But I think that's pretty much it for news, innit? Apart from the more roster cuts will be coming in as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, there's a few people changing position. I know for us, Dan Chisena went from a wide receiver to somewhere else, and now he's back at wide receiver. So you'll see a few position altercations like that. But we'll probably more of that next week when. We will do a show. It depends because we're not sure whether it'll be a Thursday or a Friday just yet due to moving dates. So we'll get that all sorted and we'll let you know whether we'll be a preview to the first weekend or a review of Kansas and Houston and then a preview for the rest. So that'll all come next week with, I'm sure, many more news. And apart from, I did forget, Jadeveon Clowney appears to maybe have found himself a team with a week to go. It's either the Titans or the Saints. The Jags were in there, but with Jadeveon saying he wanted to go to a winning team, he's not going to the Jags. No. So it's the Saints or the Titans. Make a prediction. Where do you think he's going?
I think he's going to go to New Orleans. I think. I mean, no disrespect to Tennessee, they are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I think if he really wants to go for that ring, he will join the Saints in a 1-year deal. From what I've heard, the Saints are looking to give him like a pitch that makes him basically he won't leave the building without signing the contract basically when they bring him in for that meeting. So it's looking very likely that it could end up as a New Orleans Saint. And just making that roster even more stacked.
Yeah, exactly. The rich get richer. It'll be a nice new face for New Orleans. But again, that team just gets better and better. And I'm surprised Jadeveon Clowney lasted this long. It's purely, I think, due to fitness issues and health issues.
Yeah.
But if he can stay healthy, he could help New Orleans to a Super Bowl ring. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, 100%. And he's such a versatile player. He can rush. He's a good open field tackler. Very, very athletic. So, however the Saints want to use him, he's just versatile and he brings so much options for that defense as they look to finally make a run for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's their time. But we'll go into your predictions, and as last week you spoke through the predictions, I will speak through yours, of course, and then you will give us your analysis on everyone in that division. From there,
PowerPoint up. Right,
and here it is. Yeah, we can see the PowerPoint, and it's obviously part 2 of the predictions this week. So why don't we start? I'm not sure where we're starting this week. I don't know if we're starting the same way we started last week.
Yeah, we'll be starting with the NFC first division. I think it's the NFC North.
Yep, NFC North, and very similar to last week. Red, first round bye. Green, playoffs. Black, missed playoffs. And from there, and so we'll go through each division. Will will tell us his thoughts on that. I've not seen these, so this is a bit interesting. Yeah, as I'm writing through, if it's gritted teeth, I'm not happy. Right.
We'll move on to the first division.
It's the NFC North. He has the Green Bay Packers winning the division at 11-5, getting them the 3 seed. Minnesota Vikings go 10-6, the 6 seed. Chicago Bears 6-10, and the Detroit Lions 6-10. Improvements for Detroit, not improvements for Chicago. What led you to choosing this for the NFC North? Do you want to go through team by team and explain your decision?
Yeah, I'll go team by team. I'll start at the top with the Green Bay Packers. Look, I think this still is the best team in the division. We saw it last season. They finished 13-3. Maybe some inflated wins there. Maybe did better than they actually did. But yeah, I've got them finishing 11-5, finishing as the 3rd seed. I still think with Aaron Rodgers, you've got a fantastic quarterback there who can still make plays. The defense, you didn't really lose any big names. You still got the Smith brothers at defensive end. You still got Adrian Amos at safety. You've got a young rising corner in Jair Alexander. Yes, the offensive weapons are not really recognisable. At wide receiver, they've not really got many names there. And obviously, Aaron Jones, a running back, fantastic running back. But yeah, I've still got the Green Bay Packers winning this division. I still think they're the strongest team. But in second, I've got the Vikings going 10-6. I think you had them going 9-7, so I've got them winning one more game than you did. And I've also got them finished as the 6th seed. So I think the Vikings will still have a really good season. I mean, this prediction was made before they acquired Yannick, but now they have acquired Yannick, I think it enforces it even more that I think that Vikings defense. I think what you'll see is it's got those core players. I know you like to say it's got those core leaders in you've got Harrison Smith, you've got your Eric Kendricks, you've got your Daniil Hunters, the kind of the spine of the defense, and you've kind of got the young rookies spaced out everywhere. Adding Yannick is only going to make that even stronger. Mike Zimmer's a defensive coach anyway, so he knows that I coach defensive players. I think that defense is going to do really well for you this season with the young corners that you've got, obviously Cameron Dantzler and Mike Hughes and Jeff Gladney. So I think they'll have a good season. And I think Kirk, we saw it last season. He proved it in the playoffs that he can win games under pressure. And I think he'll have another good regular season. Maybe not a Monday night win this season, but he'll sure win some games on a Sunday. So I've got him going 10-6. The Bears 6-10. It's 2 games less than they won last season. I've seen a lot of people saying the Bears are going to win more games, and yeah, they probably could, but I'm just not liking their quarterback situation at the moment. Apparently, Nick Foles has been pretty disappointing in training camp, and when you can't beat out Mitch Trubisky, I think it's a bad sign. No disrespect to Mitch Trubisky, he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's that guy that can elevate his players. And the Bears, they made some questionable moves in the offseason. They signed Jimmy Graham to a big contract. I don't know why they did that. Signed Robert Quinn from Dallas Cowboys. Robert Quinn's a nice player, but he got quite a big contract in my opinion. And the defense will always be there for the Bears, but they can only win so many games themselves. And I'm just not banking on the offense, to make waves. I've got the Lions going 6-10. I think there'll be an improvement for them next season. If obviously Matt Stafford, if he stays healthy, the Lions are instantly a better team because with David Blower quarterback, it's very hard to win games. I like their offense a lot. They took DeAndre Swift in the draft. I think he could do a nice 1-2 punch with Kerryon Johnson. Still got Marvin Jones, still got Kenny Golladay, got young tight end TJ Hawkinson, and the offensive line's improved. And I think with obviously Jeff Okudah at cornerback on the defense and Trey Flowers at defensive end, that defense still has some big names on there. They've obviously got Desmond Trufant as well. When you look at this roster on a whole, it should be doing better than it is, and that's why I've got them winning 3 more games from last season. So I've got the Lions finishing 6-10, the Bears finishing 6-10. I think the Bears just finished with the Lions based on head-to-head matchups. But I've got those 2 missing the playoffs, and the Vikings and the Packers both making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's the prediction that most people have for this division. I think most people probably have Detroit a little worse off than Chicago because, in our opinion, Chicago's a better team than Detroit is. But Detroit, as you said, that they started last season really, really well until Matt Stafford got injured, and then it kind of all went to pot. Yeah. They've still got a good core of an offense. I'm not sure about the defense. I know getting rid of Darius Slay was massive. A lot was made of that, but apparently the uppers didn't get on with the player and all that. So probably smart. I don't think Desmond Trufant is an immediate, same level replacement. But
no.
Overall, I think there's not really much wrong or right with this. This is how people would put this division. Slightly different to me in the way that I had the Bears winning a few more games. I maybe trusted in the Bears roster. But you're right in saying, that Bears defense can carry the team. But if they score no points, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'm pretty sure that is realistic enough for that division.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I mean, the Bears, they have a fantastic defense, but I just don't know if that offense can carry them to enough wins to make waves in the playoffs. And I think this is without a doubt between the Packers and the Vikings who's going to win the division. Maybe the Bears can sneak in and get that late playoff spot. But I think if you're looking at teams that could possibly win this division, I think it's between the Packers and the Vikings only, in my opinion. But we'll move on to the next one, and it's the NFC South.
It's the NFC South, indeed. It's the New Orleans Saints go 11-5, pick up that number 2 seed. Sadly, doesn't get them a bye this year because of the added playoff team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Brady and Co. alongside Fournette will go 9-7 and pick up the 7 seed. The Falcons will go 8-8 and just miss out. And the Carolina Panthers, you have a massive improvement on what I had them. You've gone 6-10 for this very, very young defense. Thoughts on
Sorry, lagged out then. What did you say?
Sorry, thoughts on your division in general. Just what?
Yeah, mine's internet once again letting me down. Terrible internet. But so I'll start at the top with the Saints. I'm going 11-5, finishing the 2nd seed. I know you had them finishing 13-3, I believe, getting that 1st seed.
I think so. I think I had them in the 1st seed in the NFC. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I've been a bit harsh on them here, but I've got them still winning 11 games, still having a phenomenal season and winning the division. And with that 2nd seed, like you said, in the previous years you would have got a bye, but now they don't. But yeah, this roster is completely stacked everywhere. I mentioned it earlier in the video. If they get Jadeveon Clowney, it's still got Drew Brees, still got Michael Thomas. Still got Alvin Kamara there, even though he was in trade talks. Apparently, he's looking like he's going to stay. It's got one of the better offensive lines in the league. The offense is unbelievable, and the defense. You've got Cameron Jordan. If they can add Jadeveon Clowney to him, that would be incredible. Still got linebacker Demario Davis as well, and Marshall Allen at cornerback. The roster's unbelievable, and this is definitely a playoff team. So I've got them finishing as the 2nd seed. I've got the Buccaneers going 9-7. They still finish as the 7th seed. The reason I've got them going only winning 9 games is because I'm waiting to see how this offense can gel. It's all right having all the big names, Rob Gronkowski coming back. Tom Brady's the new signing, but we can't lie. We saw an aggression from Tom Brady last season. Whether it was because of his offensive weapons not being good enough or his offensive line not being good enough, we did see a regression. He didn't look like the same player under Bill Belichick. I still think they'll be a much better team than they were last year. Although apparently I've only got winning 2 more games than they did last year when they had famous James at quarterback. But the defense for me is the question. That secondary, the defensive line's really good, the linebacker's really good, but I can see that secondary getting burnt quite a lot with the inexperience at corner and safety. The defensive line's going to step up massively and get the pressure on the quarterback to prevent the secondary getting burnt. But I've still got them winning with a positive record and snatching that 7th seed. And the Falcons and the Panthers I've got them missing the playoffs. The Falcons, I like their roster, but the Falcons, they seem to suffer with injuries too much for them, for me to put them at that, and playing a playoff spot. But I've still got them finishing 500, going 8-8, which is still not a bad season for them. And the Panthers 6-10. Now the reason I've got the Panthers winning a few more games is because they were 5-3 with Kyle Allen last season before they went on to lose 8 straight games. I think with Teddy Bridgewater, it could be a different situation. I think they could win at least 1 or 2 more games than quarterback. He's not going to turn the ball over as much. And that defense is young and inexperienced, but it's more athletic and energetic. It'll be more hungry. So I can see them getting a few more snaps on defense. And with Christian McCaffrey, you've got an offensive, you've an offensive mastermind who can run the ball, receive the ball. He's without doubt the best running back in the league. But I've still got them finishing bottom of a tough division in the NFC South.
Yeah, it is a very tough division. And, New Orleans, that if they miss the playoffs, I'll be very surprised. You know, they've been in the playoffs since I remember anyway, and they're always a good team. I think you're right about Tampa. It's more the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tampa get off to a slow start because they're still learning that offense, because no preseason games, you know, they haven't been in in-game situations. It's fine doing first team v second team in training, but there's a reason they're your second team, because they're not at the NFL level. So I agree. I think it you know, get some snaps in the regular season, and I think it may be a slow start, and there's no harder place to start than New Orleans in week one. So hopefully that doesn't knock the confidence too much. You're right, the defense secondary is a bit weak, but that front seven, you know, Levante David at linebacker, the pass rush is unbelievable. They got both of them tied down. So it's gonna. I'd be surprised if they don't make the playoffs, but I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's kind of put them on a pedestal since they've made all these amazing signings, and you've got to kind of simmer down on your hype a little tiny bit. And the Falcons will be disappointed if they don't make the playoffs. They have a team that could sneak in, a bit like Chicago, I do believe. And Carolina, you've been a bit more generous than I have to that defense. I just think you do need that experience sometimes. Yes, you're more energetic and youthful, but you've not got that experience that NFL reps brings. So it's fair enough. I think it all lines up in terms of how I had the division anyway. So very similar so far.
Yeah, pretty much very similar. I mean, I've definitely got the Saints winning this division. I can't see any team coming close to winning it against them. Maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if they catch a bit of stride later in the season. But I do agree with the Buccaneers, like you said. We can't just presume that because they've got all these players, because they look good on paper, that they're going to, you know, make waves straight away. It's going to take time for, you know, to get used to the offense. Bruce Arians, it's going to take time to get used to what Brady likes, and you know, Brady needs to get used to his wide receivers, what routes they like to run. So it will take time, but I still have them just off the pure talent. I've still got them making the playoffs, sneaking as that 7th seed. But yeah, we'll move on to the next division now, the NFCs, which is the division with my Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Kieran has put a bit harsh on the Buccaneers. I don't know what. Maybe he thinks the Jags will go 0-16 and the Bucs will go 16-0. I doubt both will happen, but he might think that. In the NFC East, you've got your Dallas Cowboys winning the division at 10-6, being the 4th seed. Philadelphia Eagles, who won the division last year, but we could have mentioned it in the news. Injuries have unbelievably cursed this team again. Brandon Brooks sadly going to miss the whole year. But anyway, Philadelphia Eagles, who won the division, go 8-8. The New York Giants go 5-11, and Washington Football Team go 3-13. I'd say thoughts, but I think it's quite obvious with this division. It's a 2-horse race. But with the injuries, do you think that matters massively?
Yeah, hugely. I just cannot trust the Eagles later in the season for their key players to stay healthy. You know, we've already seen Carson Wentz got injured in training camp, which is just not good news at all. Apparently, he threw an interception, which then meant Jalen Reagor also got injured. Sorry, Jalen Hurts for an interception. Who was the replacement for the injured Wentz. He threw an interception. Jalen Reagor, the new rookie receiver, tried to tackle a defender on that interception, injured his shoulder. So it's really, it's just injury town in Philadelphia. The players cannot seem to stay healthy, and that's why I've got them finishing 8-8. You know, 500. The roster will still win them games. It's very talented. Got a great head coach in Doug Peterson, but I just can't see them staying healthy during down the stretch when games need to be won. So that's why I've got them going 8-8. As you mentioned, Brandon Brooks tore his Achilles. They've got the young left tackle Andre Dillard. He's out for the season now as well. So that's another piece on the offensive line that's gone. So when Wentz losing protection, and even Wentz himself can't stay healthy, consistently. So that's why I've got the Eagles going 8-8. I've got the Giants going 5-11 again, similar season to last year. I just don't see how this team's improved in the offseason. I know they've signed James Bradbury from the Panthers, which was an all right signing. Blake Martinez. In the draft, they got Andrew Thomas, the new tackle. So their offensive line's improved there. But this is a team that it just. You've got your superstar players here and there. Obviously, with Saquon Barkley, top 3 running back. But when I look at the defense as a whole, I don't see enough depth there, and I don't see enough experience for them to make waves in the NFC. So that's why I've got them finishing 5-11 average season. And the Washington Football Team, I've got them going 3-13 again. One of the worst teams in the NFL. The front seven's nice. I could see them winning. I could see that stifling some offenses and putting some pressure on them. But that secondary is going to get burned consistently, and I can't see the offense to consistently score points. So that's why I've got them going 3-13 and finishing bottom of the division. And I've saved the Cowboys to last. I've got us going 10-6 and making the playoffs. It seems with the Cowboys, we make the playoffs one season, we miss it the next season. We make it one season, we miss it next season. So if that pattern is true, we make it this season. But I do believe we are the best team in the division. we've managed to stay pretty much healthy. According to training camp, the wide receivers have been incredible. Dak Prescott's been fantastic. Zeke looks like a fresh running back. And as long as the offensive line, the key offensive linemen, Torres Smith, Zach Martin, as long as they stay healthy, this offense is going to be scary in my opinion. And on the defensive end, we've obviously got DeMarcus Lawrence still there. We signed Everson Griffin from your Minnesota Vikings. So I trust the defensive line. The secondary is a bit of a question, but I think it will come good towards the end of the season. And we've still got Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch at linebacker to lead the team. So I've got us winning the division by 2 games, which is quite comfortably, really. Yeah,
you're on paper, you're one of the best teams in football, and we've said it for a while. With the talent you've got, honestly, you've got to be thinking about that Super Bowl contender level with the talent you've got all over the field. I know maybe you don't want to think about it too much because we're not even into the regular season yet, but that's how people are viewing you now. And with such an incredible draft, somehow getting CeeDee Lamb at the pick you was in, unbelievable. And as you say, you've not reported any health concerns, not massively. You got rid of Clinton Dix, but you clearly didn't believe in it. That's maybe making space for Earl Thomas. It's another stellar safety to add to your team. So I wouldn't be surprised if you win the division. I think I had you winning the division anyway. The Eagles, amazing roster, not great health. That's really their problem. And it's got to the point, I know you won't, but I kind of am a bit like, gotta feel sorry for him. Like, seriously, that is a hell of a rough break for them. But I wouldn't be surprised. It's a 2-horse race. The Giants weren't helped by the DeAndre Baker situation at all. That's more controversy for them. Daniel Jones, we've got a string of second-year quarterbacks in Mahomes and Lamar that are making waves. Maybe it's Daniel Jones this year. He put up some decent numbers, gets rid of the fumbles. He's a good quarterback. And Washington, it's Washington, isn't it?
Washington football team.
No, they've got a great front seven. And that is literally all you can say about this team at the moment. Maybe Dwayne Haskins has a really good year and amazes everyone on that offense, but I don't know what they're going to do. I think it'll just be a disappointing year for Washington, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is how the division stayed.
Yeah, and the thing is with Washington I think they're a few years away from even competing for the playoffs. Never mind competing for a Super Bowl. I like the hire of Ron Rivera. I think he brings experience, but once again, you've got to give him time in this roster to rebuild it because it's just so stale. The players don't seem to want to stay there. The players are always requesting to leave, and get traded to another team. So it's just not looking very positive for Washington. But we'll see how they do next season. I guess maybe they can fight with the Giants for that third spot. Because I only see this as a 2-horse race between the Cowboys and the Eagles in the NFC East. But we'll move on to the final division now in the NFC, and that's the NFC West.
Go on, let's have a look. You've got the number 1 seed being the San Francisco 49ers, the Super Bowl runners-up. You think they're going to carry on with their stellar season into this year? The Seattle Seahawks, though, will equal them with record, but are worse divisional matchups, and they'll go 12-4. And finish the 5th seed, which is just wrong.
It's awful, isn't it?
Yeah, wrong on so many levels. But anyway, the Arizona Cardinals will have a rebirth. They'll go 8-8. Kyler Murray, possible MVP. Who knows? And the LA Rams at 7-9. I don't know about you. It's the tightest division. What led you to doing this? Because I think I had the 49ers behind the Seahawks in my predictions.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's so cruel. Both teams have finished 12-4, but because of the divisional matchups I had, throughout the prediction, the 49ers get the 1st seed and Seattle fall all the way down to the 5th seed. So the fact that there's only 1 game between them, and it could be the difference between getting that bye or finishing as the 5th seed and going on the road on wildcard weekend, it is very, very tight. And unfortunately, the Seahawks finish as the 5th seed. Listen, they could easily finish as the 1st seed in this division without a doubt. One of the most talented teams and best coached teams in the NFC. But the way the tiebreaker broke, they finished as the 5th seed and the 49ers finished as the 1st seed. And I think with this season, you'll just see the 49ers. They are looking for revenge. They've tasted that Super Bowl. They've got to the final and they've lost. They will come back with a vengeance. Even George Kittle has said that during the game, during the Super Bowl, when he knew they'd already lost, the game was over. He said, "I will be back, and I'll be back with a fucking vengeance." That's what he said. I think this team, you'll see it. It'll be so mentally strong. They'll have 1 goal in mind. That's to get back to the Super Bowl. Obviously, you've got Shanahan, the coach. Kyle Shanahan's still there. He's got another year of experience under his belt, so he'll be even better. And I just see the 49ers, the roster on paper is incredible. They obviously got Trent Williams in, on the left tackle spot. It's going to make the offensive line even better. Like Stack said, he's still got George Kittle. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, but they drafted the young wide receiver out of Arizona State, which I just forgot his name. Do you remember his name? Brandon Ayuk. That's it. Brandon Ayuk. He's an wide receiver. No, it's all right.
The one in the first round.
Yeah, they got Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State to replace him. And the defense is still pretty much the same. Obviously, I know they lost to Forrest Buckner, but they got in Javon Kinlaw. They've still got Nick Bosa on the edge, Arik Armstead. Sherman's at cornerback, brings more experience. It's just one of the better teams in the NFC, and that's why I've got them winning the NFC East. Seahawks very, very similar, stacked everywhere. But like I said, it's just so tough between these two teams that one team has to finish as the first seed and one team has to finish as the fifth seed. It's just very unlucky, and it just shows that the NFL seed needs to be fixed sooner than later. Yeah. The Cardinals and the Rams have both got them missing the playoffs. I've got the Cardinals having an improved season, finished 8-8. Yeah, it was a fantastic trade to get Hopkins. It was daylight robbery from the Texans to get him over, trading a second round pick and an all running back for him. But I think this team's a year away yet. Yeah, Kyler Murray, I think he's a brilliant quarterback. I think he'll have an even better season this year. But the roster, he still needs to get more experience. I think the offensive line still needs to improve a bit more because it's all right, Kyler, saying he can run. But you don't really want your quarterback always running around. You want him to be able to have time in the pocket and pass the ball. That's why I got the Cardinals finishing 8-8 and the Rams 7-9. Again, it's another team. It's got superstars one position. It's got an undrafted free agent at the other. There's too many holes in this team. I can't see them competing. The coach, Sean McVay, is a good coach, but with Goff, I'm so undecided on Goff. He had an MVP season a few years ago. Last season he was terrible. Where's he going to finish this season? I just don't know. Maybe mediocrity. That's why I've got them finishing 7-9 and missing the playoffs yet again. Yeah,
from Super Bowl runners up to missing out on the playoffs for 2 seasons straight, possibly. But we'll go back to the top, of course. San Francisco and Seattle. The only thing I'm thinking is, yes, they've got that Super Bowl hangover. They are a very run-heavy team, massively run-heavy, should we say? Because as I said to you, I was just watching highlights about how much they ran against the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. Unbelievable. They set so many records. Raheem Mostert did anyway. I worry about Jimmy G compared to Russell Wilson. On the other hand, I think Seattle can be a dual threat, whereas I don't believe San Francisco really can. I think they are a run-heavy team, and I think if I'm trusting Jimmy G on the final week of the season to clinch the division, I'd much rather trust Russell Wilson with that mantle. But they're both amazing teams, and this is what makes this NFC West arguably the toughest division in football. Add the Cardinals in. We said last week, are we on the hype train? Because that defense was so bad last year, and they haven't really done massive strides to improve it. It's got slightly better, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team goes 6-10. Seriously, even with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, because they've got to have the ball. And if their defense doesn't let them get on the field because they're constantly giving up downs, we won't be able to see the best of that team. And as you say, with LA, a more proven team than Arizona, but lots of gaps, as you said. And we're waiting to see that Jalen Ramsey trade be worth it for LA.
Yeah, and we're just waiting to see if they can extend his contracts. Obviously, they gave up quite a lot of picks to get him, and they've still not signed him to that long-term extension. So we'll have to see how that goes for him. But yeah, just going back to your point on the Cardinals, I think I do agree the defense it could let them down this season. I know they've got Isaiah Simmons, which is a positive. So Patrick Peterson's still there, Chandler Jones is still there. Obviously, they picked up Devon Kennard from the line. So that pass rush has improved, definitely. And the linebackers got more athletic, but I just can't see them getting, like you say, consistent stops and helping that offense out. Kyler Murray will put up a load of points because he's one of them players where he can run, he can pass. And with Hopkins at wide receiver, it's just going to make him even better. But one of them teams where 8-8, it's not a bad record for a team that a couple of years ago had the first overall pick in the draft. They are making strides, they are making improvements, so it's positive for them. That's how I've got that division finishing up. Again, it's very tough on the Seahawks. They got the same record as the 49ers, but I had the 49ers on divisional records that they overtake them. And that's how I've got the NFC panning out. We'll move on to the AFC now. The first division is the AFC North.
It is the AFC North, indeed. Baltimore Ravens go 13-3. The number 2 seed with reigning MVP Lamar Jackson. The Pittsburgh Steelers go 9-7, getting that last final 7th seed. Cleveland Browns go 9-7, but they miss out due to interdivisional records. And Cincinnati Bengals finish bottom of the division at 3-13, but 1 win more under Joe Burrow. So, what brought you to doing this specific lineup? Because Cleveland are a difficult team to rank.
Yeah, the Cleveland Browns are the most. So they're just the strangest team in the league because they could go 4-12 or they could go 11-5. You just don't know how they're going to go this season. But I've got them going 9-7. I think there'll definitely be an improvement from this season. There's too much talent on that roster for it not to be good enough. And I know you can say, well, yeah, there's a lot of talent there, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Obviously Baker Mayfield's had his questions. Can he lead this team? I see the Browns improving this season. I see Baker Mayfield in year 3 maturing. And I think the big move for the Browns season was getting that new head coach, Kevin Stefanski, a stable mind, a guy that's been in the playoffs with Kirk Cousins, won playoff games as the offensive coordinator. I think he'll be an upgrade over Freddie Kitchens, who, in my opinion, I was very surprised Freddie Kitchens got the head coach job in the first place. I thought he was a bit inexperienced. And if it just didn't work between him and Baker. But I think with Stefanski working with Baker, I think it can improve him next season. Obviously, they got Austin Hooper in Fringe State at tight end, so he'll improve the offense. Odell's still there. Jarvis Landry's still there. They've got Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt at running back. The offense is absolutely stacked. They got Jack Conklin in Fringe State at the right tackle. They drafted a left tackle in Jedrick Wills. The offense has just improved so much. I can see them putting up a lot of points. And I know the defense, you can say there's some holes there. They've still got Myles Garrett, the defensive end, who causes constant disruption. But I can see the Browns improving a lot this season. That's why I've got them going 9-7, just missing out on the playoffs. You'll see later in the AFC predictions. I've got a lot of teams finishing 9-7 and missing out on the playoffs. But I had the Steelers finishing just above them. I just like their defense. I think their defense is very, very good. And if Ben Roethlisberger can stay healthy, this team will win games. It's as simple as that. He knows how to run the offense. Juju Smith-Schuster's still there. Mike Tomlin's an experienced coach. He knows how to win games. So I've got them finishing as the 7th seed. Got the Ravens winning the division, just like many people have, because that roster's unbelievable. And they are the favourites. They are up there with the favourites to win the Super Bowl. So I've got them winning the division without a doubt. MVP Lamar Jackson coming into this next season. He's looking to prove a point again. He's looking to show that he's the best quarterback in this league. And, the defense is still absolutely incredible. The offense puts up a ton of points. So I've got them walking this division by 4 games. And the Bengals, the poor old Bengals, finish bottom of the division again. But they do get the extra win, like you said, with Joe Burrow quarterback. But again, it's a season where I can't see the Bengals doing much. But positive strides are made. And this team really is building for the future.
Yeah, it's progression, very slow progression. Unlike we've seen some teams that'll be transformed, like the 49ers last year. I don't think Burrow's going to do that in Cincinnati.
No.
I think the Browns, we've talked about them so much. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more, faking the handoff from Baker Mayfield to give him more time in the pocket, because we saw that so much in Minnesota because of a weaker offensive line. But again, when you've got Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you can worry about the run game because they're very, very stellar backs, So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of that handing off, not handing off, that sort of thing. Steelers, all about health. It's a bit like the Eagles, really. If they can stay fit and healthy, if Juju has an unbelievable year, that no reason they can't, run Baltimore close to winning the division. Maybe pick up 10. At a push 11. I think that's their ceiling. I think 11 is the ceiling for the Steelers. Whereas Baltimore, man, what is the ceiling for this team? Yes, they lost Earl Thomas, but they believe in the guy they've got there. So it's an unbelievable season. But surely revenge is on their mind because Lamar Jackson's 0-2 in the playoffs.
He is.
So do you think it'll come down to that Kansas City-Baltimore game in Baltimore?
It's gonna be a big game, and the thing is with that game, it's still only week 3, so we can't get ahead of ourselves if one team wins that game, one team loses it, because there's still a big chunk of the season left to play. But yeah, it's going to be an exciting game to watch, and I think that will be an early preview of a possible championship game in the AFC. But we'll move on now to the next division in the AFC. Move on to the AFC South, and I'm very sorry, Rowan. But yeah, talk through the division.
You don't have to apologise. You've doubled the win total from my video anyway. The Indy Colts will finish 10-6 and atop the division and get the 4th seed. Tennessee Titans made the playoffs last year after a miracle run. Will go 8-8. Houston Texans will go 7-9 after winning the division last year, and Jacksonville Jaguars will go 2-14 and probably get their man. What is your thoughts on this division? Because again, really difficult to call this because there's 3 teams that could win the division, even though one had a seriously worse offseason than the others.
Yeah, it's one of the divisions that's really up in the air. I think when you look at the Colts, Titans, and the Texans on paper, they are very, very similar quality teams. But I've gone with the Colts in the end. I think they'll have a bounce back season. I think the big addition for them was just getting Philip Rivers in, an experienced quarterback. Brissett was a nice quarterback, but Rivers behind that offensive line that's probably the best in the league. He'll have more time to throw. He's got T.Y. Hilton on the outside. He's got weapons there in Indianapolis. They've obviously got the new running back Jonathan Taylor, and I think with Frank Reich being the head coach, he's already took the Colts to playoffs before. He clearly knows how to win games. So I like the Colts most in this division. I think they'll have a bounce back year, like I said. So I've got them going 10-6 and having a good season. The Titans go 8-8, 500. The thing is with the Titans for me, can Ryan Tannehill have another season like he did last year? I know he did very well, didn't they turn the ball over a lot. But in the playoffs, it wasn't Ryan Tannehill's team, it was Derrick Henry's team. Derrick Henry was running them into the AFC Championship game. Ryan Tannehill was kind of there for the ride, really. But this season, Ryan Tannehill, you can't just rely on your running back. Ryan Tannehill's going to have to win games, and he's going to have to make big throws. And I just question if he can do that. I know we've got his big extension, but we've yet to see a big game, in my opinion, from Ryan Tannehill for the Titans that shows he can, carry this team to wins. So I've got them going 500. Texans, I've got them going 7-9. I mean, yeah, they made the playoffs last season, but this team, it just seems so shot to me. The confidence seems to be shot. I think getting rid of Hopkins, who was such a big dressing room guy, was was Deshaun Watson, one of Deshaun Watson's best mates on the team. They had a phenomenal connection, and Bill O'Brien just got rid of him for basically nothing. You lose your number one weapon. I know they've signed some receivers and they've traded for Brandon Cooks, but there's not that number one option on the team, I don't think. And I know the Cowboys were very similar. I'll say a few years ago, we didn't have a number one receiver and went into the season thinking we're going to throw to whoever's open. Whoever's open's getting the ball, but it just doesn't work like that. You need that number one option, and the Texans have lost that. They didn't have a lot of picks, so they weren't able to reinforce the roster on defense as well. The offensive line is still an absolute disaster. Deshaun Watson's going to be running for his life, and maybe weighing up, do I want to sign a contract extension with this team? Because it's not looking like it's going in the best of directions with Bill O'Brien running the team and coaching the team. And the bottom of the division, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars going 2-14. One more win than what Kieran had them. I've still got them going the worst team in the AFC, but they finished on 2 wins. This season for the Jags, it's just kind of like, we know we're not the best team, and we are looking forward to that 2021 draft where we can get Trevor Lawrence in a Jags uniform.
Yeah, I was seeing a video the other day, and they were doing their season predictions, and they were just like, I genuinely could see Jacksonville not winning a game.
Yeah,
that's how bad they are, and I hate it because I feel bad, but that is literally how bad they are this season. And I think out of the other 3, the Colts for me have been the most stable team this year compared to last year, where their quarterback quit on them with he retired Andrew Luck. So they've got a man in Philip Rivers. It all depends really on him. If he's the Philip Rivers of a couple of years ago or he's the Philip Rivers of last year where he's just throwing it to the other team for fun. But out of the others, I think they're the most stable team to back in this division. I think Houston, so many unknowns. I'm really questioning whether Deshaun Watson wants to re-sign. I honestly think he's questioning it himself.
Yeah, I agree.
And if he hits either free agency or whatever, my God, someone's going to pay for that man. He is unbelievable. But that is why you can't count them out of the division, because he's so damn good. Mm-hmm. And he makes magic out of absolutely nothing. He'll have to throw to a few weaker wide receivers this year, but 3 very level wide receivers, I'd say, compared to Hopkins, who was levels above. And Tennessee, we've got to ask whether Derrick Henry is going to be the same guy. He ran amazingly last year, but also he may have a contract on the line because he's tagged. So he might want to get paid and just, start burning through people.
I think he has signed an extension, Derrick Henry.
Has he? I thought he was tagged.
I'll just double check that, but I think he did sign a contract extension, as far as I'm aware, with the Titans.
Oh well, screw it. He's got his money now.
Yeah, he did. He signed it on. It was the tag deadline when 15th of July. If tag players, if they wanted to extend their contract, they had to do it. On the deadline, he got a 4-year, $50 million contract, so he's locked up.
He did. I'm just seeing it now, including a $12 million signing bonus, $25 million guaranteed. So he did get paid.
Paid heavily.
But we'll see if that money is worthy of what he did, because we've seen players like Le'Veon Bell didn't really deserve his pay at this point. So hopefully it works out for Tennessee. But again, you can't really trust them, because was last year just when the stars align, they managed to make it so far? Or was it they were a really good team, but they just didn't get enough credit for so long? That's what it'll come down to for Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they also traded away Gerald Casey for a 7th-round pick to the Broncos, so they lost a leader on defense there on the defensive line. That'll be a loss for them. But yeah, I agree. It's just a question: can they repeat last season? Because obviously it was a phenomenal run for them. I'm not taking anything away from it, but was it a bit of a fluke? Really, I think they caught the teams that they beat. I think they caught them in the right moment, and then just did the teams couldn't adjust in time. But I think this year, having a full year to examine them, I just can't see them, winning this division. I mean, they could do it, but I can't. I think the Colts, like you said, they're a more stable team, and they've got more knowns than the Titans. And Philly Rivers, it could go one or two ways, but I like how the Colts are coached. I like their defense. I think it'll step up again. DeForest Buckner was a massive addition to their defensive line, so I think they'll do very well, and I think they will win the division. But we'll move on to the next one now, and it's the AFC East, probably one of the worst in the league.
Yeah, and there is a big, big statement being made by Mr. Will P here, and I can see it in a certain black writing. The Buffalo Bills will go 10-6. They'll win the division. They'll get the 3 seed. The New England Patriots will go 8-8, and they will not make the playoffs. Wow. Miami Dolphins, they'll go 5-11. And you've been telling me the Jets are one of the worst teams in football for a while. And they are, because they'll go 2-14, and they'll be just as bad as Jacksonville, which is poor Sam Darnold won't want to be known as that.
No, and like you said, it's a division where there's one team in black, like you said, New England Patriots, where I know you haven't making the playoffs. We'll come to them in a minute. I'll start at the bottom with the Jets. This is one of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, the coach, Adam Gase, I don't believe in him. I can't believe he's still the head coach there. He's done a terrible job, to put it lightly. And it's just a team where Sam Darnold doesn't seem to have any help. The offensive line's still a mess. I know they've got Mekhi Becton, but it takes more than one player to improve that offensive line. Le'Veon Bell, we just don't know if it's the same running back that he was in Pittsburgh. Obviously, he sat that year out, holding out for a contract, ended up signing with the Jets, and he just was not the same player. The defense has got holes everywhere. And the team is summed up that in training camp, the backups beat the starters 30-0. I mean, that says everything, really. This team is just in a horrible position right now. And it's finishing bottom of the AFC East, in my opinion. Third bottom, I've got the Miami Dolphins going 5-11. Similar record to what they had last year. Surprised everybody, actually. Many people thought they were the worst team, but with Brian Flores, they made some surprises and actually won a few more games than people thought they would. I've still got them going 5-11. This isn't a season where people are expecting Miami to do anything. Yes, they spent big in free agency and got new players in. They got 2 in their potential franchise quarterback. But look, the Miami Dolphins, they're a team that's looking ahead to the future. They'll have a good season, I think. 5-11 for them is decent, but there's still too many gaps for me, in my opinion, for them to compete for the division. But in a few years' time, we could be saying different. We could be saying that Tua Tagovailoa is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The New England Patriots, obviously, I've got them going 8-8, missing the division. The big question for me is, can Cam Newton stay healthy? Because we've seen the last few years since his MVP season, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's not been able to stay on that field for the full 16 games. He's missed a few games here and there, and it's cost his team playoff contention. And the Patriots, they just don't seem to have any weapons really on this team. Not enough weapons, I don't think. They cut Mohamed Sanu. Edelman's still there, but how longer can Edelman be that number one option on the offense? Surely they're going to come a point where his production drops off. The tight ends, there's nothing there for me to say that they're going to be an offensive threat. The offensive line is getting older, and I know they tagged their guard Joe Tooney, but again, will he sign a long-term contract extension? We just don't know that. The defense for me is the strong point of the team, that it will carry this team, in my opinion, through most of the weeks. But again, I just can't see Cam Newton staying healthy. I know he's been in the starter, but I can't see him staying healthy. And when Cam Newton isn't healthy, this team's not as good as it can be. So that's why I've got them finishing 8-8. Still not a bad record, but it's very hard with the Patriots. You don't want to bet against Bill Belichick, but I just have done, unfortunately. But for my opinion, the team that's going to win the division this series is the Buffalo Bills, going 10-6. This roster is very, very good. I think the defense is incredible. Defensive line's fantastic. The secondary, in my opinion, is incredible. You've got Tre'Davious White, and you've probably got the best safety duo in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Those two are incredible players. So the teams are going to struggle to score against this Bills defense. It's going to cause havoc, in my opinion. And the offense got better. They got Stephon Diggs from your Minnesota Vikings, who was a phenomenal trade. That number one receiver, and they've still got Cole Beasley and John Brown there as well. The offensive line is still a bit of a question mark, but I think with the offensive weapons you've got, they create space so quickly. Josh Allen can get the ball out quicker than he would be able to in the past. And Devin Singletary, running back, is only going to keep improving. So I've got the Bills winning this division, which I think is a fairly weak division, really.
Yeah, I think we spoke last week. If there's a year the Bills are going to win it, it's got to be this year. Break that dominance of the New England Patriots, because there is so much rotation really in New England without Brady. Gronk decides to come back, but he gets traded to the Buccaneers. I think the only question mark we have is the thing we're going off is history, and the whole history of this Patriots franchise, which has been an unbeatable force for so long. So brave of you to bet against them. I think the Bills have got a stellar defense, and their offense is good enough. That it's not going to blow doors down, this offense, but it's good enough. And Miami make improvements, and I agree with you that I said last week, like, the Jets at some points when I did these drafts, I had them at like 0-8, and they are a really poor team. And maybe they surprise us. Sam Darnold has a good year statistically, but I don't think this ceiling is much higher. I think their ceiling might be 5 or 4 wins.
Yeah, I agree. The Jets are just not a very good team. Maybe they surprise us. Maybe they have an unbelievable season and go 6-10. But we'll have to wait and see. But we'll move on to the final division now in the AFC, and that is the AFC West. A very, very interesting division, it's fair to say.
It is, because, dare I say, maybe for the first time in history, 3 teams from a division will make the playoffs. I'm not sure if it is the first time in history, but it is the first time in this 7 playoff team era. Kansas City Chiefs top the division 13-3. They get the number 1 seed, just pipping Baltimore. The Denver Broncos finish 9-7, getting the 5th seed. And it's not ending there, because the Los Angeles Chargers go 9-7, and they get the 6th seed. And Las Vegas Raiders go 7-9, and they do miss out on the playoffs. The lonely one in the division that didn't quite make it. I think you can talk us through this division apart from the winners, because we know they're going to win it.
Yeah, I'll start on the Chiefs because it's the quickest one. I mean, Super Bowl champions, they didn't lose many players from the roster. They've only improved in the draft, getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. That's just going to make the offense even better. Patrick Mahomes is still there, still the best quarterback in the league. And that's all I've got to say on the Chiefs. We know what they are, and we know they're going to be competing next season. That's why I've got them winning 13 games. Finishes the 1st seed. Now, second in the division, I've got the Broncos going 9-7, finishes the 5th seed. Again, we both said this offense, it could be very, very exciting with the rookies they drafted, and the players that are still already there on the defensive side, like Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. This team could be really, really tough to beat. And with Drew Lock taking strides in his 2nd year, I've got them making the playoffs at 9-7. Another team finishing 9-7 and also making the playoffs, the Los Angeles Chargers. And I just thought I couldn't leave this team out with the defense that they have. The defense is incredible now. They've got Linval Joseph at defensive line. They've got Joey Bosa there. They've now got Chris Harris Jr. to pair with Casey Hayward at cornerback. The linebackers improved. This team really is stacked. I know Derwin James is out for the rest of the season, which is a massive loss at the safety position. But with Tyrod Taylor, I think he's an experienced quarterback. He will be starting week 1. He got confirmed he'll be starting week 1 over Justin Herbert. He's an experienced quarterback. He knows how to run an offense well. And they've still got good offensive weapons. They've still got Keenan Allen. They've got Hunter Henry. So I think this Chargers team can definitely do better than they did last year with a new quarterback at the helm and that improved defense. They could cause big problems. So I've got them going 9-7 and making the playoffs. And obviously the Raiders, like you said, the lone team in the division, not making the playoffs, going 7-9 again. Again, this is a team that I can't say. It's got John Gruden. They're moving to Las Vegas. It's going to be an exciting team, but they are without doubt unlucky, and they are unlucky here. They are the 4th best team in this division, which is a very, very good division, unfortunately for them. Yeah,
they'll beat a lot of other teams, but I don't know how many of this interdivisional matchups they'll do a clean sweep. I don't see them doing a clean sweep in this division, whereas I see the Chiefs. I even think the Broncos could clean sweep a team in this division. I really am high on them. Vegas are just sad. We said that, to be fair, an underwhelming draft with what they had in terms of pick. Maybe we expected a little bit better from Vegas, so not enough for them. The Chargers are a great team. For me, they're a team that could do better than 9-7 with what they have. But again, it depends on fitness at the likes of, Keenan Allen. Will he be able to stay fit? So lots of question marks there. The Broncos are kind of, for me, the fun team in this division. Like, a lot of eyes are on them. I think when they're on prime time, they'll make it count. Because they are a really fun team to watch. And it's Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the division. So
we all know that, don't we? Yeah, we all know what the Chiefs are.
Yeah, we know they're going to win. So there you go.
Yeah, and well, that's the AFC prediction and the NFC predictions done. We now move on to the best part of the season, which is the playoffs and the wildcard round. The first game of the wildcard weekend, I've got the Denver Broncos beating the Colts away.
Yeah, what away at the Colts? You again are like me on this Denver Broncos. Looking forward to seeing them play. But would you say Colts maybe the better team overall, or do you think Denver are? Or is one of them a lucky win on the road, or what's your thoughts?
It's a very tight one, I think. I think both teams match up very similar. They've both got that, they've both got weapons on the outside. And the defenses, I think, match up very well. They've both got athletic linebackers. The defensive line can get pressure. And I know the Colts are the home team, but it's an indoor game. But I think the Broncos, with that, how that offense is, I know we're making presumptions here because we've never seen them play, but with the way that offense is looking like with those free, speedy receivers, I think they can cause havoc. And I think Drew Lock will get his first win on the road in the playoffs. And I think that the experience of the Broncos defense will keep the game tight. And I think when it comes down to it, the Broncos will just win. And the Colts, unfortunately, will be eliminated on wildcard weekend.
I'm high on this Denver Broncos, so I don't have much to disagree with. But
it's a very tight. It's a very tight game when you look at the two teams.
Yeah, it is. I feel this could be even a one-score game, or even just a field goal that wins it. Yeah. I think that is what I see with these two teams. But Denver making it, big strides from last season.
Big strides. The next game, wildcard weekend, I've got the Bills at home against the Chargers, and I've got the Buffalo Bills pulling out.
You do, and you had them winning the division over the New England Patriots, so they carry that form onto this game. What's your thoughts? Because this is battle of the defenses, really, if you look at them.
Definitely. I mean, this is a game where when I saw my predictions that this would be the playoff matchup, I thought this is going to be a very, very exciting game. Both defenses, incredible. And I think it's going to come down to one play here. I think very similar to the Colts-Broncos game. They are evenly matched. But I think Josh Allen, he'll just make that play extra than Tyrod Taylor. I think he will. I think they've got that big. They've got the game-breaking ability with someone like Stephon Diggs. And I think the defense, it'll be a tight game, maybe a one-score game. But I've got the Bills at home in their home stadium, just beating the Chargers in a very, very tight game. And I'll move on to the next one now, which is the final game and wildcard weekend in the AFC, and that is the Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. And I've got the Ravens winning at home against the Steelers.
Yeah, I think another one is very tight on paper. I think the Steelers defense will cause this Baltimore team a lot of problems, but maybe that Baltimore run game, it will be too much for the Steelers. What were your thoughts in processing this? They are the home team, but we don't know how much home field advantage will matter this year. So what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are a stacked team, and although we haven't seen them perform in the playoffs so far, obviously Lamar Jackson's been eliminated in the first round in his first two seasons as a starting quarterback. But I've got the Ravens winning this game. I think they'll just be too much for Pittsburgh. And Ben Roethlisberger, can he stay healthy? Ben Roethlisberger will be banged up at this point in the season. I think the Ravens defense, the Steelers got a great defense, but the Ravens have got a great defense themselves. So I think they can get pressure on Big Ben, and they can just kind of overwhelm him. I think Lamar Jackson will just make enough plays against Steelers defense at home to win the game from them. But it will be a very interesting game. And the Steelers here, although they are the 7th seed, they could definitely win this game.
Yeah, I think it's that's fair enough. That we said earlier that it's possible Super Bowl winners. They were Super Bowl winners in my thing. So unless it really is true that Lamar Jackson can't win in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think third year we'll definitely see a different Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. But the first game on the NFC wildcard weekend, I've got my Dallas Cowboys beating the Seahawks at home.
Yeah, we both had this matchup. I think I had it a week later though in my predictions. Dallas versus Seattle, Dak versus Russell Wilson. What brought you to do this, or is it a little bit of a home field advantage?
This one was tough for the Seahawks, I thought, because they were literally a game away from finishing as the first seed. They ended up finishing as the 5th seed, obviously. But we've already shown we can beat the Seahawks in the playoffs. Our defensive line, it really stifled their run game. We got pressure on Wilson. And I think with the passing options that we have on offense, I think it'll kind of overwhelm this young Seahawks secondary. Because when you look at the Seahawks defense, it's got some good players, but it's got very inexperienced players, in my opinion. Jamal Adams is a fantastic player, but he can't just make every single player in the defense. He's going to need some help. And I think the Cowboys at home, we've shown we can beat the Seahawks in the playoffs before. Russell Wilson will keep it tight, but I think because of the quality of our team, I think we'll just kind of outlast them.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think Seattle, again, last year were a really difficult team in terms of how much they had injury problems, especially at the running back position without Chris Carson. They had to bring back in Marshawn Lynch. But, on the health of that team, I think I trust in Dallas a little bit more than I do the Seahawks.
Yeah, and you might think I'm a bit biased here, but yeah, I think the way they match up, I think we could definitely beat them at home. Next game on Wildcard Weekend, I put your Minnesota Vikings going up against Green Bay Packers, a division rivalry. Sorry, I've got the Green Bay Packers winning this game.
It's a disgrace. Let's move on to the next one. I think it'll be at Lambeau Field. It'll be absolutely freezing cold, but I think Minnesota, it isn't the warmest place on planet Earth anyway, so I do believe this is something that really hinders on the regular season, because we may see it's that week one game, because last year the Packers sweeped us in the division, so maybe that's a bit of revenge, because I think I saw Garrett Bradbury talking the other day and he was like, this sweeps us last year, we want that win back, so a lot of pressure will be on this game, but I think if you're giving it away, I'm not mad, but do you think, I'm going to ask you a question, out of all the top teams, are Green Bay the easiest team in the NFC?
Yeah, I think this. If the Vikings make the playoffs, this is a matchup they could really, really want. Because of the division rivalry, all division rival games are really close, and there's no reason why the Vikings couldn't beat the Packers on the road. We've seen it before. The Falcons played really well at Lambeau Field. I just had the Green Bay Packers squeaking out in a very, very tight game. But I do think out of the teams you could face, I think this would be the team you'd want to face.
Yeah, that's. I won't be too mad.
Move on to the final game in the NFC wildcard round, and that's the Saints at home to the Buccaneers, and I've got the Saints just pulling out in the division rivalry.
Yeah. New Orleans Saints, who finished the number 2 seed. Another division matchup. We'll take out Brady's Bucs after them obviously being the 7th seed. Difficult one, because another team that will have faced off twice in the regular season. So this is the rubber match alongside Green Bay and Minnesota. What led you to going with New Orleans? Because obviously it's really hard to win in the Superdome, unless you're Minnesota. So is that the reason? It's not Kirk under center. That's the only reason they're not going to win.
Well, yeah. The thing is, if I had the Vikings as the 7th seed, I would probably have them beating the Saints away, because the Vikings love to play the Saints in the playoffs. But no, I've got the Saints winning this game just because. Yeah, the home field advantage is huge for them. It's very, very hard to win in the Superdome, but the way the rosters are, I think that the Saints match up really well against the Buccaneers. They can get pressure on Brady, because Brady's not one of those quarterbacks that can run. He's one of those. He's a pure pocket passer. You get pressure on him, you can bring him down. And the Saints defense, I think, would stifle the Buccaneers here. The Buccaneers offense, I think, struggles to get a lot of rhythm, and I think the Saints have just scored enough points at home to beat the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, KD, that you Buccaneers have lost, but coming in as a 7th seed, the team you don't want to face is the New Orleans Saints, especially away from home, unless you're Kirk Cousins.
Exactly.
Unless you are Kirk. But that's the wildcard round done. Moving to the divisional round now. Not as many teams left in it. It's getting tight. In the first game, I've got the Buffalo Bills travelling to the Ravens, the 3rd seed against 2nd seed, and I've got the Ravens just pulling it out. Yeah,
what an absolutely unbelievable game this is between the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore. I don't know about you. I'm looking at this matchup and I'm thinking, I do trust Lamar Jackson a little bit more than Josh Allen. If they're a touchdown down and needs to make a deep throw, I don't believe in Josh Allen that much. So what was your thoughts behind having Baltimore pipping the Buffalo Bills in this game?
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game from the start. I think it'll be a very close game with the defense that Bills have. I think they'll be able to stop Lamar Jackson in his tracks a little bit, slow him down. Obviously, it's very hard to just completely stop Lamar Jackson, but I think the Bills defense would have enough to slow him down. But like you said, it's one of them things. I just couldn't see Josh Allen making the big plays on the road when needed in the playoffs. I've got the Ravens just beating them, being the favourites. Yeah, I've got the Ravens just beating the Bills.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. And Josh Allen, maybe his year, I think his time to dominate is still to come. I don't
Yeah,
think it'll be, sadly.
yeah, completely agree. And the final game on the divisional round weekend in the AFC is the Broncos traveling to the Chiefs. Very interesting game, but I've got the Chiefs as the favourites, winning the game at home.
Yeah, I think this could be very much Seahawks v 49ers last year, where it came down to a field goal after Seattle went for a 2-pointer and then it got blocked on the line. All that sort of fun pandemonium with a minute to go. I think that's going to be very much similar if this game does pan out the way it should. Again, though, another divisional matchup, but
Another one.
I do agree. At Arrowhead, as good as we are on this Denver team, I just don't think that they can beat the Chiefs. They're just an unstoppable force.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that the Broncos they are a very exciting team, but on the road at Arrowhead against an experienced coach like Andy Reid and how stacked this Chiefs team is, the Broncos' young team, I think they'll struggle to keep up, and they'll score points, but they'll struggle to keep up with the superior offense on the day, in my opinion, the Chiefs. But still, a phenomenal season for the Broncos, and a team that's only going to get better in the future. The first divisional round matchup in the NFC, I've got the Packers traveling to the Saints, and I've got the New Orleans Saints beating the Minnesota Vikings rivals, the Packers.
Yeah, I think the Saints are overall the better team. I know we maybe we're harsh on Green Bay, but it's not the best team in the NFC, and it's really difficult because we know that they may not even win the division. So I don't think they'll be able to beat the Saints in the Superdome. It was very similar to the prediction I had, and I think it will just be a really tough matchup for Green Bay.
Yeah, a very tough matchup for them, and it's just one of the things where, yeah, Rodgers he creates magic, but when you get later into the playoffs, you also need a bit of help. And I just don't see enough help on that offense, especially in terms of the wide receivers. They can get them over the line against this Saints defense on the road, which makes it even harder. So yeah, got the Saints just winning this one. And the final game is the Dallas Cowboys against the number 1 seed 49ers. And I've got the Cowboys winning it. And I'm going to explain to you, before you jump in, I think the Cowboys match up very, very well against this 49ers team. If you look at their roster, Jimmy G, he's their quarterback. I think our defensive line can get after Jimmy G. And I think that our corners, our secondary is not the strongest, but neither is their wide receiver group. I think we've got enough players, double teaming George Kittle. I think put the corners on their wide receivers that are not much better than ours. I know we're on the road, but I think we can get pressure on them. And Richard Sherman's, he's a nice cornerback, but with our offense that we have, I could really see the Cowboys burning the 49ers secondary.
Admittedly, I looked at it at first and thought, really? And then, we spoke about this in the division, like, I trust Jimmy G to win a playoff game against a really talented Dallas Cowboys team. No, not really. I do believe that their pass rush will cause a lot of problems for Dak Prescott. I do believe that Dak Prescott's got good mobility, but that defensive line is so good for San Francisco. And
the Cowboys have got a very good offensive line as well.
Yeah, they do. Like we talk about Zach Martin and how good he is, and you've got to question, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence or Everson Griffin matching up against Trent Williams. It's such a good match. Mm-hmm. It could go either way. I'm not mad at you choosing Dallas. Again, it might be one that comes down to either a single score or a field goal, but we've talked about them matchups just there, and I'm now frothing for a bit of San Francisco versus Dallas Cowboys, actually.
Yeah, that's the thing. With the way the matchups fell, I think the Cowboys can really get at this 49ers, secondary. I know the defense line is phenomenal, but with the offensive line, we have Leo Collins, Tyron Smith, very good offensive tackles. If they can keep them at bay, and Dak Prescott, although you don't want your quarterback, like I said, you don't want your quarterback running around. Dak Prescott can make plays off schedule, a lot of the time. So I think with the way the Cowboys offense is against this 49ers defense, it matches up very well. And I think our defensive line and our linebackers can really get at Jimmy G. And we've seen when Jimmy G gets pressure, he does struggle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw it in the Super Bowl. I think that's fair enough.
It can go either way this game, though. The 49ers at home, first seed. I would not be shocked if they absolutely smashed us. But moving on to the postseason predictions, is the conference championship round. And the first game is the game everybody wants to see. It's the Ravens against the Chiefs. At Arrowhead, I've gone with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Baltimore Ravens at home.
That's fair enough. It's arguably the two best teams in football. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we had very similar conference championship rounds.
I think we got the exact same ones.
I think we did. We got there in different ways, but you've chose Kansas over Baltimore, which is fair enough. The magic of Mahomes, and obviously it being at Arrowhead. What's your thoughts? Because do you think the game earlier in the season will matter in this one, or because it's only week 3, it won't matter? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a preview week 3 what we could see in the playoffs, but I think it'll be a different game just because we're under playoff pressure. It's a completely different place. I think the game, I believe, is at the Baltimore Ravens Stadium in the regular season. But I think this game in the playoffs, it'll be different atmosphere in the playoffs, like it always is. It'll be a tight one. The 2 best teams in the AFC, probably in the NFL, as a whole. But this is the game I really want to see. And I think the way I've chosen the Chiefs is in the big moment. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's MVP. But if I need someone to make a throw, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I think at home it'll be an absolute shootout. I've got the Chiefs just winning it, but the Baltimore Ravens, again, they could easily win this game. I've gone with the Chiefs just because they're pretty much just the home team. I think that it's that tight.
Yeah, it is a very, very tight matchup, and wouldn't be surprised if they defend their Super Bowl crown. But it's very difficult to do that.
Very, very difficult indeed. And now we move on to the NFC Championship game. And I've got the New Orleans Saints at home beating my Dallas Cowboys. I said that the Cowboys matched up very well against the 49ers. That's why I had them winning that. In this one, it's the complete opposite. I think we match up very, very bad to the Saints.
Yeah, and I think we've spoke that the Saints have been on this kind of they've been teetering on this sort of level for so long that this might be the year where they finally put pay to their playoff heartaches. And Dallas, they're a good team. I think you'll be really happy to get to the conference championship. You are in that Super Bowl conversation, but I do believe the Saints have been there for so long, and I do believe Drew Brees wants one more ring before he can ride off into the sunset, and he's going to do it on this Saints team, and they've got the best chance they've had again because they just strengthened.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, with the way the Saints roster is set out, I mean, our pass is looking very good going into the season. Our defense is looking pretty good, especially the front seven. But the Saints have such a good offensive line. They know how to win the big games at home, except against Kirk. But Michael Thomas, a wide receiver, Alvin Kamara, I think they could give our defense problems. And I just think with their defensive line, it caused a lot of problems on Dak. And they've still got the players in the secondary that could probably shut down our offense. I think we wouldn't struggle to score points, but we'd struggle to stop the Saints, and especially at home in the Superdome, it makes things twice as hard. So I've just got the Saints just squeaking out and beating the Dallas Cowboys and making a very interesting Super Bowl matchup, which is the Chiefs against the Saints. And for my Super Bowl prediction, I've gone with the Kansas City Chiefs against the Saints. I've got them repeating. Michael Thomas, fair play to him. He'll have an 18 reception, 36-yard game. Fair play to Michael Thomas. Still flexing. But I've got the Chiefs just beating the Saints.
It's fair enough. I think we had the Saints making the Super Bowl, but Kansas are going to defend their title, which is very difficult to do, but they do have all the makings of a special franchise for many, many years. And maybe this is the start of dominance that they've been waiting for, very New England-esque. Maybe this is the start under Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, and you've got them to do that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very, very hard to repeat in the NFL and win back-to-back Super Bowls. But I've got the Chiefs just beating the Saints. I think in the big moments, I'm taking Pat Mahomes. I've said it so many times, but I am. It's pretty simple. And the rosters are very similar. They're both very stacked on the offensive line. The defenses are both incredible. And they've got the Chiefs just with the experience. I know Drew Brees is very experienced. He's won a Super Bowl in the past. But I've got the Chiefs just beating the Saints in what would be a very, very entertaining game. A very, very entertaining Super Bowl. But yeah, I've got the Chiefs winning back-to-back against the Saints. And unfortunately, the Saints wait for another Super Bowl goes on.
Yeah, and maybe this is... sadly, Drew Brees will not be getting that final ring before the end of that. So... well, that brings an end to your NFL 2020 predictions. Very similar in a way. A few differences in records and stuff, but we know the good teams in football and a few little shockers in there. But overall, how difficult did you find predicting this NFL? Because I found it so difficult.
Yeah, it's just so hard to predict the NFL, really. because it's such a week-to-week league. But I just can't wait for it to get started now. We like making these predictions. We like talking about the draft and free agency, but we all just can't wait for the season to start. And hopefully, it's a good season for both of our teams.
Yep, only a week to go now, so we will be back next week, and the season may have officially started. Maybe a different location. I know you're sick of seeing Yordi device back there. He'll be gone soon. But thank you for joining us today. But that's not all we're going to do on the channel, because coming up in a few hours' time, we will all be here for the UEFA Nations League. A bit of football, not the American kind. So a bit of soccer. We're all going to take different games, very much like last night. A goal show, very Soccer Saturday-esque. That's coming up in just a few hours' time. On Mondays, we have KD and his tier list. He's got me on this week, so more of me on the channel if there wasn't enough of me already.
What's the tier list this week? What are you doing with it?
He said he wants a bit of Bundesliga flavour, so I'm very much looking forward to a bit of Bundesliga action. So we'll see whether it'll be season predictions, players, whatever it may be. But if you're a fan of German and European football, get on that tier list on Monday. On Tuesday, it's the Wrestling Corner, which Rowan and Simon will be talking all about what happened recently on NXT Super Tuesday. They had a hour-long Ironman match between 4 people. So that was, my opinion, could be match of the year. That'll be talked about on Tuesdays. Wednesday, it'll soon be the return of the Top Corner podcast. It's not yet, but it's coming very, very soon. The hiatus will be over. And Thursdays or Friday, depending next week, it will be us. But join us on this channel for all watch-alongs on any type of European football. NFL watch-alongs will be coming soon. Wrestling watch-alongs will be coming soon when we're all back in a more familiar environment than all sat over the internet, because it'll be nice to see people in person, and when Will brings the kebabs in on Thursday night.
Big dubs on it. I was going to say, I'm looking forward to being able to watch it as one instead of, streaming has done a good job, but with the way my Wi-Fi has been acting up, it's I'm very happy to see it go.
Yeah, we're no more robotic Will, hopefully, when we're all in the same room and we're all watching and no more syncing up games, because we'll all be sat next to each other watching games together. And, as crap as this year's been, a silver lining at the end of it, hopefully, for all of us. So we hope you enjoyed the show today. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share the video, do all that fun stuff.
Do all that good stuff.
Do all that good stuff. And we will see you next week when the NFL season finally kicks off.
Thank you very much. And we will see you